Breaking news! A new episode of Let's Be Frank starting now! Hello, all. Alright, everybody, you know the name of the game. We've done over 20 of these, right? Weird and Wild Creatures. Today is just your average video where I'm going to talk about each and every one of them. Nothing special with a bunch of spiders or talking about one specific group. It's going to be all 7 today, and we're going to have some pretty insane creatures, especially today's Monster of the Mind. Might be one of the most terrifying ones we've talked about yet, so definitely stick around for that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the first creature in the Monsters of the Past. And for today's Monster of the Past, we have the Dimetrodon. I love this guy, and I love the way the Weird and Wild Creatures card has him colored. They pop so good, even though I know they're so inaccurate. So what's crazy is that the card says that Dimetrodon was the largest land predator, like, you know, over 250 million years ago, and it says it lived here, right here in North America, actually, which is wild, because, like, wouldn't the T-Rex or Spinosaurus be bigger? I mean, I'm not going to fact check that, but, like, that's pretty crazy. But it makes sense that the card would call Dimetrodon at least one of the biggest. Because this guy was like 11.5 feet long. Its sail on its back alone was like 5 feet tall. And this thing weighed up to like, what, 550 pounds? I mean, granted, it is a pretty big dinosaur. Okay, reading a little bit further, because I learned this information right along with you guys. So reading a little further on the card, they're actually telling us Dimetrodon, not a dinosaur. And I think I knew that somewhere in the recesses of my mind, but truthfully, this guy's basically just a big lizard. So he wasn't exactly the biggest dinosaur that was terrorizing the earth. No, he was definitely, though, the biggest lizard we've ever seen. So like a lot of big lizards, like crocodiles and alligators and whatnot, some of its teeth are really sharp and pointed for stabbing into prey, and other teeth are very jagged for sawing and holding on. And like all lizards, Dimetrodon loved the heat. He always had to absorb in as much of that good sun as he possibly can. And that's what the sail is for. That sail, it forms around all these ginormous, super tall back spikes that stick right out of the guy's skeleton. You can kind of see that happening over there. And that sail is super good at pulling in the sun and all the heat and everything to warm up this dinosaur. And, lizard, my bad, lizard. And Dimetrodon would then turn this heat into energy. There is such a thing as too much, though, right? If Dimetrodon took in too much heat, it obviously would die. And that sail, well, there's no off switch on it. So if you ever needed time to cool down, he would go in the shade and just sit down and relax for a bit. No need to hunt for food, he can just chill. So of course, scientists of the past were wrong a lot of the time when it came to dinosaurs and lizards and all kinds of different animals of the past. And they used to think that Dimetrodon's sail here was meant to help it catch wind, like a ship. You know, I think like a pirate ship or something. That's sailing through the water. This sail does something entirely different. It does not catch the wind and help it swim fast or anything like that. We've learned better now. But I say that's just about enough of Dimetrodon, and it's time we time travel forward to the nightmares of nature. And for the nightmare of nature today, we're talking about my favorite big cat, the cheetah. I love cheetahs, you guys. You have no idea. I want a pet cheetah so bad. You know a lot about the cheetah already, right? Super fast animal. The fastest land animal, actually. It can reach speeds up to 70 miles per hour. This thing is truly built for speed. It's small head, super powerful legs, fast beating heart. Man, this guy just doesn't stop, except when he does. It only takes this guy 3 seconds to hit those 70 miles per hour, by the way. I mean, we've all seen the nature documentaries of this guy attacking a gazelle, getting it down, and pinning it to the floor with those big old claws. So these are no house cat. They can get up to 5 feet long, with their tails alone being an extra 2 feet long. And they weigh up to about 150 pounds. So as you probably know already, cheetahs live in Africa, across all the savannas and everything. And they can live for up to about 12 years, which is a pretty decent amount of time. Honestly, that's not too far off from your average house cat, or, at least normally sized cat. A house cat should probably live to be like 13 to 15 in my opinion, if you're given enough love and care. Something you may not know about cheetahs is they don't roar like, say, tigers or lions or leopards or other big cats. They actually chirp, and it's so adorable. It's just the cutest little... Here, I'll play a video. It's just the cutest little chirp, right? It sounds like a bird. You'd mistake this thing for a bird. Alright, as much as I hate to do it, let's go ahead and move on from the cheetahs and talk about the toxic terrors next. For today's toxic terror, I thought I'd talk about a beetle. Specifically because on Wednesday, I posted that short about that insect diorama I'm trying to make. And the first insect I put inside of it was a beetle. Now, it wasn't the blister beetle that we're talking about today. It was actually a rainbow scarab beetle. If you missed that, go ahead and watch it. It's up there on the channel, 30 seconds long or something like that. It's the first of a series I want to do, where I'm building this insect diorama with a bunch of insect corpses I find at work. But this guy here, this beetle, is a deadly beetle. Let's talk about why. So blister beetles are actually pretty small depending on the species. They can either be 0.2 inches long to about 1.4, again, depending on what species you're looking at here. But honestly, for being that small, they can kill animals several times their size with the poison they can create. So check this out. Blister beetles, when agitated, can flex their knees. This isn't a knee, but to a beetle that has 6 legs, these would be knees, right? Okay, fine. They can flex their knee and force out blood-like poison that is extremely potent. At least these guys are courteous, though. Like with, I was gonna say all, but I guess I won't deal in absolutes. Like with most insects and frogs and whatnot that are poisonous. I mentioned frogs just because they're the only other creature I can think of that carries poison. They're brightly colored to warn other insects and birds that they are poisonous. Because, sure, they don't want to be crunched down on before the bird realizes they're poisonous and then spat out only to die seconds later, This way, it keeps all predators away, hopefully, and nobody has to get hurt. So this is a pretty fun fact that I would never have guessed. A blister beetle's poison is actually an ingredient that goes into certain types of medicines that heal and deal with warts. Wow. How do we discover this stuff? Literal trial and error? Every type of poison, just put it on a wart until we find the right one. How else do you find that out? When a blister beetle larvae hatches, they're completely helpless. So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll wait for a flying insect to get close. Specifically a, what do they call it? A Hyenoptera. It's a kind of bee, alright? It's a kind of bee that lives a solitary life. That's all you need to know. And specifically with this bee, they'll attach onto the leg hairs, let the bee fly back to its nest, and then eat the eggs and the larvae of the bee. So they kind of have this parasitic relationship with this kind of bee, which, first of all, I didn't know there were solitary bees. That's kind of cool. Secondly, that's messed up, blister beetles. Alright, we're moving on from beetles and the toxic terrors to dive under the sea and go look at the monsters of the deep. Alright, so I know you've heard of electric eels, but have you ever heard of electric rays? Because I certainly have not. Like with a lot of flat-bodied sea creatures, this guy spends a lot of its time on the bottom of the ocean, maybe hidden under the sand a little bit, waiting for prey to swim above it. Whenever prey gets into range, zap! Dead. You get what I mean? Let me explain. Actually, you should get it, right? That makes sense. Zap, dead. It shocks the prey. Now, depending on the size of the prey, this little zap of electricity can either stun the fish, let's just say it's a fish that passes by, or it could kill it entirely. These guys can even harm humans if we get too close. These electric rays can get up to 3 feet long, 2 feet wide, and can weigh up to like 200 pounds. That's kind of crazy. I mean, I get, 3 feet's like what? What was this? Like 3 feet? And you got like 2 feet, but like 200 pounds. I guess they're just all mass. They are all mass. Now, I'm sorry if I scared you earlier when I said they could even harm humans. But I'm going to scare you even more, because these guys can be found in all warm oceans on the face of the planet. You're not safe unless you live somewhere very cold or somewhere landlocked. So consider moving to Idaho. Ugh. Oh, gosh. This is like the first time I've been jump scared by flipping over this card. So be prepared, guys. I'm going to jump scare you guys here. 3, 2, 1, flip. That's disgusting. I feel like I'm watching a miracle of birth video. Look at that. Gosh. I'm not even over exaggerating, you guys, when I say this looks cartoonishly gross. Ugh. How do I go on? Dude, I swear. Ancient scientists and ancient doctors, man. Apparently, ancient Roman doctors, whenever a patient was experiencing a foot problem, they would let the old electric ray give them a little zap, and maybe that would fix them. It never did, I guarantee it. But who knows? Try anything, right? Oh my gosh. Alright, y'all, I'm reading this word for word. Here we go. Electric rays got their name from their ability to generate electric currents in their bodies. 2 columns on their bellies each contain anywhere from 150 to 1,000 jelly-filled organs. I wish my organs were filled with jelly. Jelly-filled organs called electrolytes. Hey, that's what Gatorade has. Which the animals use to create a charge of up to 220 volts. This charge is more than enough to stun other sea creatures, and the electric rays can send the charge outward up to 6 inches from their bodies. The rays also use these charges to ward off enemies, even those as large as a giant octopus. So that's kind of insane. We're getting scientific about this guy now. 220 volts is a lot. Alright, I'm kind of getting a little freaked out, not wanting to put my feet down right now, so why don't we go ahead and move on to the tiny terrors. Alright, y'all. I'm going to start mocking scientists again. So if you're a scientist, sorry. But why'd you go and do this? This guy here is a velvet ant. Don't get confused. This isn't an ant. It's a wasp. Why call it an ant if it's a wasp? So these velvet ants can get up to about 1 inch long. And as you can see, they look really fuzzy and furry. Well, underneath all that hair is armor, like really hard protective armor. Male velvet ants have wings. Female velvet ants have long, terrible stingers. Now, I've actually seen one of these before. I have a picture of it. I was just going through the tiny terrors, like, oh, which one should I do? I see this card, I'm like, wait a minute, looks familiar. I have seen a velvet ant in person before, and it makes sense, because they can be found from deserts to rainforests on every continent except Antarctica. Well, I found it on a nature trail in Florida, so I guess they got their name because the females really do resemble ants. I mean, like I said, they got the stingers, not the wings. So they crawl on the ground, and to be fair, I thought it was ant adjacent when I first saw it too, but now that I know it's a wasp, I would call it a wasp. I'm getting too mad over this. The scientists just need to do better. Okay, so I just mentioned I saw one of these in person, right? Apparently, the velvet ants have one of like the most painful stings in the insect kingdom.
Okay, let me get back here.
You alright? What are you feeling?
Go! Oh wow. Oh wow, okay.
Some people even call it the cow killer because supposedly this thing can kill livestock.
Oh my gosh, guys, this is super bad.
Alright, y'all, we got another bug who chooses not to build their own nests, but when the velvet ant is ready to lay her eggs, she finds another insect's nest and lays its eggs inside of there right next to all the grubs that have previously hatched from this other insect. And when the velvet ant larvae hatches, they eat the other larvae or grubs alive, and then they spin their cocoons inside the other nests, and then they'll emerge as their hairy counterparts. Good lord, just do your own work, lady! So last thing I'll say about the velvet ant, they can actually sound the alarm, if you will. By rubbing two plates on their body together, they can create this like clicking noise. Next time I see one, maybe I can capture it in a bug box and keep it for that little diorama I'm making. That'd be quite the flashy bug to put in there. But for now, I am done talking about insects. Let's move on to the strange wonders. Okay, everybody. Today's strange wonder is a creature I find to be rather creepy, and most people don't. The chimpanzee. Give me the heebie-jeebies, man. You ever hear that story about that woman who got her face ripped off by one? Never trusted these guys since. Now, as we all know, chimpanzees are incredibly smart. Most monkeys and apes are, to be fair. But scientists have observed chimpanzees, using tools and grooming and doing all these different intelligent things. I mean, it's one of the most intelligent creatures on the planet, despite humans. And I don't know about maybe dolphins? I don't know who's smarter, a dolphin or a monkey. So you guys already know a lot of what this card is going to say about the chimp. You know that it's got basically hands for feet, right? When it swings from vine to vine in the jungle, because they do really do that, they can use their hands and feet to grip these branches and these vines to get around a lot quicker and easier than humans can. So chimps can actually get pretty big. They can get up to about 3 feet long, 5.5 feet tall, and weigh up to about 180 pounds, which is kind of where I'm hoping to be one day. Dang, these guys can live to be like 60 years old. I actually had no clue they could live that long. I thought 30 to 40 years was where we were capping these guys, but that is a long time. Chimps can live longer than a lot of people did back in like the frickin' 1700s. So no creature likes when another creature encroaches upon its territory. And chimps are the exact same way. They'll form little troops, and whenever a different troop, gets too close to this troop, I'm going to say troop so many times, it's going to sound weird. This troop will attack the outside troop. And they won't just attack at random. Chimps are known to go to war with each other. They will form actual raids and to go attack the other troop that they know is getting way too close to their territory. It's kind of crazy. I knew it, guys. I knew there was a reason to fear chimps. A chimp eats mostly fruits. I tell you what, this is the most terrifying sentence I've ever heard. Listen to this. A chimp eats mostly fruits, but has a taste for meat once in a while. I don't want to know. I don't want to know if a chimp has a taste for meat. No, thank you. I do not like that information. This ape can kill, small deer and several chimps together can overpower big baboons. Chimps have even been known... No, I don't want to read that. Chimps have even been known to run off with human babies. We're done. I am done talking about chimpanzees. I think forever. I don't like these things. I knew there was a reason. They rip off kind random women's faces. They steal babies. I don't like chimps. I'd take anything else we've talked. I would rather cuddle a wild cheetah than walk up to a domesticated chimp. Done. We're moving on to something, honestly, somehow twice as terrifying in the monsters of the mind. Y'all, I was not kidding you when I said this creature here is probably the most terrifying of all the monster of the minds. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you today the Nuke La Vie. That's probably not how you pronounce it. Nuke La Vie is how they tell me to pronounce it. Gosh, this is probably one of the only creatures that as a child actually I didn't even want to look at it. The Nuke La Vie it not only looks terrifying, it's this skinless man and horse fused together. But with those long arms and sharp claws, it would grab people and just drag them into the sea. I'm sure will be explained why it did that later. But as of right now, I choose to believe it's just pure malice. It's pure evil. So this mythological creature stems from the Orkney Islands off the coast of Scotland. And why, just why would you come up with something this terrifying? So this guy is literally just full of pure hatred. Nuke La Vie, his breath is so bad, and I'm serious, y'all, so bad, it can destroy all the crops nearby this creature. And he can control the weather, so to say, so he can cause droughts. And all this, if crops can't grow, people can't eat, and they starve. You've got no reason to be doing this, my dude. So Nuke La Vie, he does kind of have a weakness. This guy hates fresh water. Allow me to tell you a short tale of this terrifying creature. Walking home one moonlit night, a group of Orkney farmers stays on a path near the seashore. It's not long until they feel the ground tremble and hear the feet of a galloping horse. Nuke La Vie appears out of the darkness, grabbing one of the farmers and dragging him into the sea. The man's companions watch helplessly as their friend disappears beneath the waves. This terrifying guy over here, he doesn't eat humans. He doesn't kill them for any reason. He just kills them. Makes their crops not grow, makes them starve to death, and just drags them into the sea. Who knows why? Nuke La Vie, you are genuinely the face of pure evil. And I'm done looking at it. Yep, we're done. I think those last two creatures was some of the scariest we've talked about yet. Yes, chimpanzees, scarier than anything we've looked at before. But if you did enjoy this video, why don't you let me know down in the comments below. Give the video a like and subscribe if you have not already. That's the best way for me to keep knowing that you guys are interested and for me to keep making these videos. Follow my Instagram and Facebook at Let's Be Frank 2020. I post updates whenever I have to miss a week or whatnot. And with all that being said, y'all, hope you're looking forward to the next Weird and Wild Creatures, to the next insect diorama video I'll be making that comes out next Wednesday, and for every Wednesday for the foreseeable future, as long as I can keep finding insects. I have a little stockpile right now, but if I run out, I'm gonna have to wait till I find more. But for now, thank you once again for watching, and until next time!